Super cool radio.
Hey everyone, before we jump into the show, I want to tell you about our merch store on Threadless. Shop a wide variety of logos with multiple colors and sizes available for each design. Your support is greatly appreciated and helps us continue to make killer content like this episode. Please visit supercoolradio.threadless.com or the link in the description to shop now. Hello everyone, I am Matthew Thomas. This is Super Cool Radio. Thank you so much for tuning in on the platform of your choice. I got a great show lined up for you. My guest, who I'll be bringing on in just a little bit, he is the drummer for Chicago-based rock band Bullet to the Heart, Draven DC. Before I bring him on, I'm going to feature their latest single, Black Widow. It was released at the end of August. This song is very hard-hitting and hard-rocking. I really enjoy it, and I think you will as well. Here is Black Widow by Bullet to the Heart. Enjoy.
I think
I have a great guest with me at this time. Just recently dropped a killer new single and music video for Black Widow. Please welcome the drummer of Bullet to the Heart, Draven.
How you doing, man?
Doing really good. Thank you so much for hanging out with me here on this episode of Super Cool Radio.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course, I've heard a lot of great things about you. I was actually supposed to see you earlier this year with the Rumors. Unfortunately, that show did not work out, but it is very nice to get to chat with you.
Which show is that?
It was supposed to be the South Bend show. It was like
yeah,
March or April. I don't remember.
April. I think it was like 4th or 5th. Yeah, we had to cancel that one.
Yeah, unfortunately. But I did want to talk about, so since you did tour with my friends, the Rumors, how was the tour?
Oh, it was really good. They honestly are some of the best tour mates we've ever had. So they're just super chill, super nice. They're all about like getting stuff done, but also like having a party after. So they were just so awesome. We've had a lot of negative experiences on touring, but they were such a pleasure. So it made it super smooth.
I'm really happy to hear that. Obviously, I've hung out with them before. I've been to some of their shows as well. They're really great people, and they really kick ass on stage.
Oh yeah, they kill it every night. I mean, every night, same energy, whether there's 2 people or 100 people in the room, and I just mad respect.
For sure. Now, since we were talking about concerts and shows, I know we had so much to talk about, with the new single. Before we get to that, a new question I got for you. What has been the best concert you've either played or been to?
Ooh, that's tough.
I asked the marketing question.
Played or saw?
Yeah, it'll be or. If you want to say either one or both, that's fine with me too.
We can do both. I don't mind doing both.
It's your interview. I'm in.
Yeah, so I think one of the best shows I've been to more recently was me and the entire band went to go see Disturbed. So and it was kind of cool because it wasn't just like the stereotypical Disturbed set. They was like in a whole emotional roller coaster. Like they went through everything. They talked about everything serious to making fun of themselves. And then one of the biggest things for me in the band was they talked about themselves as a unit. And they were like, oh, we've been to all of our weddings. We've been there for all of our, kids. Like they did everything as a group. And that's where we kind of looked at each other like, dude, I want to like live that with you guys. Like this is so much more than just a partnership or a band or like a band of brothers and everything. It goes way past that. And like to see them do that, they played a song and on the prompt in the back, it was just all of their lives, like all the way from the 90s, all the way from now, how they've aged, kids, everything, every tour, every family event, like they're swinging back beers and grilling. Then they're also playing sold out arenas. And that kind of woke us up a little bit to be like, dude, like I want to do that, like with you guys specifically. So that was really cool to see, especially to share that experience with my bandmates.
Oh, it definitely sounds like that. I had, Disturbed for being around as how long they are. Like they're such a tight unit. They're actually like friends. Outside of it, which is it's unfortunate. It's kind of rare for like some of the big, huge selling out arenas bands that they all like each other and get along.
Yeah, and it's actually very common, even on like the smaller scale. I mean, we've played smaller tours, we've been part of smaller packages, and some of these people, like they're on stage killing it, and then you're like, dude, like, nice job. And then they're like, oh yeah, I'm not getting paid though because, so-and-so, and you're like, oh, there's some shit going on. I'm like, okay. It's super weird, dude.
It definitely is. And kind of what gets me, I think Doyle from the Misfits pointed this out. It's like music's like one of the industries where, people stop themselves from making a bunch of money just because they don't want to play with a certain person.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of the behind the scenes is so like gut wrenching sometimes.
Yeah. And sometimes unnecessarily too.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's a lot of drama, and you're surprised that some of the people that are in bigger bands were in other bigger bands, but nobody talks about it. There's a lot of that too. We found that out. So
it definitely. I did want to say before we get on to the show that the best show you think you performed at. I got to see Disturbed earlier this year, or was it last year? Oh boy, it was at the Hard Rock Casino in Gary, Indiana, and
I think that was this year.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Their 20th or was it 20 or 20? It was one of their anniversary tours. I think it was 20.
Okay.
Of one of their albums, I think. But it was really cool. I think they played about an hour and a half too. And it was just really cool to see. And for me, not seeing them live, like people tell me, it's like, oh, you have to see Disturbed live. Now I understand why people say that.
Yeah, I mean they get because they're that like people make fun of them in a weird way because they're just like that generic rock band, but they are incredible musicians and they put on one hell of a show.
Oh, totally.
So like I said, like just that emotional roller coaster of everything. Like they know what they are, they know how to kill it, and they don't give a shit,
Oh, exactly. And you can see that on stage too. It's like they're just there to have fun. All right, so now for you, the best show you performed at.
So there's a lot of good ones, but a pinnacle one that I want to bring up is when we got to headline Chicago House of Blues in 2018 for our album release. Or it was 2019, sorry. It was for our deluxe album release. That was probably kind of like with the Disturbed show. That was the moment where like we had a big crowd there. We drew really well. Everybody's like craving the new music. We played the whole album front to back in order. And that's one of those moments where like you're looking around and you're like, dude, like we could do this. Like, or maybe we're onto something. So it's definitely one of those like shows. I even brought out like the double bass kit, because we were headlining. So I just got endorsed like right before that show. So I brought out the big, 6-piece drum kit. I had like 13 cymbals. It's like so stupid, but it's one of those moments where like, dude, like just do it, like we got this. And it was a good feeling for us. And like the Disturbed show kind of lit a fire under us to continue and pursue this no matter what.
No, definitely, especially like for special shows like that, it may look ridiculous, but it's totally worth it.
Yeah, I definitely don't do it now that we're touring a little more often and professionally. I bring the one rack tom, one floor tom, kick snare, I think 4 cymbals, and then a hi-hat. That's it.
Well, it is a little different, like for like those that kind of special show compared to like touring every day, where you have to bring everything, you have to tear it down every day. It's a little different.
Yeah, there's definitely like, I mean, I had fun with it, but until I guess we're like a main headliner, I probably won't go back to it for a while.
Well, yeah, it's probably a smart move for right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went to the House of Blues, I think a few years ago. It's such a unique venue. It's got a real like character to it.
Oh, dude, I love it. It's like a second home for me. I've played it probably 8 or 9 times between the 3 bands I've been in. So, and Bullets played it twice. We opened a show and then we got to headline it, which was like a dream come true. But yeah, the great custom artwork. They take care of the bands like backstage. It's just such a great place. I'd love to sell it out one day.
You will get there. I feel it. You guys will definitely get there. But yeah, it is.
I like the positive energy.
That's right. Hey, nothing but positivity here on Super Cool Radio. Because no point being negative. It's all about positivity. I should put that on a shirt. Anyway,
yeah, sell it.
yeah, as long as no one steals it. But all right, so for you, before Bullet to the Heart, how'd you get started as a musician?
So I always considered myself a late bloomer getting into music because I didn't start doing anything until I was like 10 or 11. So, and it's a kind of a long story, but I'll give you like the smaller version. So we would go to my grandfather's every year for Christmas, and he wasn't like hugely involved in our lives. So like it was always like kind of weird, but he's a musician. In his front room, he had wall of amps, drums, keyboards, like everything. He played everything. He recorded. He sold music like in France and stuff, like really just oddball stuff. And I wanted to play guitar, and for the love of Christ, I couldn't figure it out. Could not figure out how to play a guitar, and just couldn't figure it out. So he's like, "Why don't you get on them drums?" And I was like, "Oh, dude, drums are kind of lame, man. Like, what do you mean?" And he's like, "No, just get on the drums." And I played a little bit. I didn't think it was nothing. And one day, and again, he's not part of our lives that often, he came over randomly and he goes, "Hey, I bought Draven a drum kit. We're going to set it up right now." And my mom was like, "He doesn't play drums." He's like, "Yeah, he's going to one day, I promise." And we set it up, and I started practicing. And right when I was about 14, I played my first ever show. It was my high school freshman year Battle of the Bands. So played that. I think we got like second or third place. And that's where I was kind of like, dude, I'm kind of having fun. You know, like this is kind of cool. And from then on, I started joining bands, playing out in bars at 14, 15 years old. And then going back to House of Blues, I played House of Blues at 16. So I was on a stacked like local lineup, and there was some big local band at the time sold it out for their album show, and I got to play, and I was like so happy, like just oh my god, like this is what it's like, this is so cool, and I got hooked, I got addicted to it.
That sounds really incredible too, especially how like a family member who wasn't like super in your lives got you into drums. I think
Yeah.
it is kind of cool. Like they're meant to be at that certain point, at that certain point in life for you to learn drums and to play the House of Blues, as we said, how legendary a venue it is. At age 16, like there's people who I know I've interviewed that want to play the House of Blues that still haven't.
Yeah, it was it's so funny because think about it, you're 16, right? So like you're a teenager, you kind of feel like a man, but you're 16, and they had a strict policy where you can't be under 18 and be in the green room unless I had a parent back there. So I had to have my parents back there, and all the bands were like way over 21. Everyone's smoking weed, they're drinking, and I'm kind of like, hey guys, like I'm playing drums today. And everyone's like, cool. So it's, I was the goofy kid backstage with all these like adults, like, premium rock stars who've been doing this for 10 plus years. It was funny.
I could just see like the dynamic of that. As you said, you have the more veteran people, and then you have you over there at 16 playing drums, with your parents in the green room because you're not 18 yet.
Because all my bandmates as well, they were over 18. So I was by far the youngest band member. So even Audrey at the time, she was in that band. She was 19 years old. So she was 19. She had no rules backstage, and the other guy was 18. We had a 20-year-old, and then here's me. I'm 16, just turned 16. I'm like, yeah.
It is funny. Like I remember when I was 16. Like you feel like you're invincible, but then like you don't realize like you're only 16.
Yeah, definitely. You look back and you're like, wow, there's a lot of cringe in that era. But at the time, you're like, I'm unstoppable, dude.
Yeah, the confidence is very high for no reason when you're 16.
Yes, all the way till you get 18, then you get sad.
Exactly. That's usually how it goes. So for you, so how did Bullets of the Heart come together?
So, man, again, long story. So stop me if I'm rambling. I tend to ramble a little bit, but
it's your interview, man. I'm here all day. I live here.
Good to know. Yeah. So Audrey and I were in a band called Bulletproof at the time. I know, super generic name. And we were headlining this show, and like the day before, our guitarist and our bass player didn't want to do it. They were like, we're going to do one more show. We're done. Like, we don't care. We're just going to leave and pursue other things. So we're like, all right, well, we're playing this headline show. It's supposed to be an album release. We never finished the album. So, that was a big shock for a lot of people. And one of the openers was Brian, our guitarist. He was one of the openers, and it was just him and a backtrack. He played guitar, and it was like an instrumental, like metal project. And then a couple songs he did vocals. And we announced on stage when we went up there that, hey, like these two guys aren't sticking around. We're looking for musicians. And we didn't really give a shit, right? Like they were on their way out anyway. So we're like, we're looking for people. And Tom, our bass player, he also attended that show. He reconnected with his high school friend, Brian, and they came to our show. And they liked us. I liked Brian. We kind of hooked up, started practicing, playing a couple shows under Bulletproof. And then Tom officially joined the band, and we were like, okay, new lineup, we need a new name. And we decided to pull lyrics from one of the songs, and it was a bullet straight to your heart, and it ricocheted to you. And we were like, bullet to the heart, that's it, let's do it. And 2017, January 1st, we announced that we were in a new band.
Right on, definitely. And that's just so cool. Like what we're talking about with like you playing drums and stuff is like, you announced that, and it just happened, that both these people, one was opening, but also one reconnected with a friend there at the show. It's just cool how like stuff like that in life happens.
Yeah, there was I don't remember the full story, but something happened to Tom, I think the day before, and he almost canceled. And he's like, it was one of those weird things. He goes, because here it's a small like lounge bar kind of show. He's like, I shouldn't have went. He's like, and something told me I had to be there. And it's one of those just weird kind of things where you're like, why are we all here right now? We're all strangers. Like they know each other. I'm with Audrey. We know each other. And we just kind of connected. And we were like, you want to like play this music that we just played on stage? And Brian's like, oh, I could learn that. And I'm like, cool. You have 1 week because we just got a huge offer to open up for Gemini Syndrome. I was like, so you got 1 week to figure it out. And that was kind of wow, this guy learned all of our music, 8 songs in less than a week's time to practice. And that kind of, I was like, wow, maybe this guy's serious. Because my other bandmates at the time, they weren't really serious. That's why they left. It was getting too real. So it's like to connect with everybody on that level, it was just so awesome. And it kind of just happened all at once.
Oh, for sure. I bet it was just really cool to experience that. And, you could tell like, he's serious because he had a week and he learned everything.
Yeah.
I know there, I've heard stories of other people, not practicing, being lazy, not doing stuff. So like, it's just so cool to see that dedication, especially for people that he just met.
Yeah, that was the weird thing. Like I look back on it and I was like, wow, I was kind of a dick. But it's like, that was almost necessary to happen. It was like super weird. Like, like with a cattle prod, like learn this song, bro, like right now. And it's like, he did it. He was like all by ear, like, oh, I got the whole set. We're like, oh, okay, you're good.
Damn, that just gets more impressive. But, like for opening for Gemini Syndrome, like, I mean, that would be a cool opportunity. Like, just, I got a week before I can do it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, that was, especially at the time, that was like Audrey and mine, like favorite band. Like we've seen them a couple times. I actually saw them open up for Avatar the first time at Castle Theater. And Avatar at the time was my favorite band. Gemini was her favorite band. Same bill. And I was like, oh my God, like everybody's great. I'm hooked. We got to meet Aaron and Brian, the drummer. And he gave me one of his drumsticks, which little side story is the reason I play my heavy hitter drumsticks by Excel. They don't have tips on it. So he's the guy that kind of introduced me into that. But it was like just kind of cool moments where you're like, dude, like it's great, but it's fun. It's a fun time.
Definitely sounds like it. I didn't know there's drumsticks without tips.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, and especially that's how you started using them too. So for you, and since we're talking about live shows, talking about playing live shows, what is your favorite song to perform live?
Ooh, that's a thinking question.
Yes, it is.
Probably right now, probably Inclement Weather. Because it's a song that we kind of started putting in the live set recently. So it's not like it's not a single. It's not necessarily a fan favorite, but I just get to throw down, play hard, heavy drums for no reason. And there's like 2 different breakdowns in the song. And I get to like add all my little odd time signature accent notes. And I don't get to do that with a lot of the like single type songs. So to play this one, and we usually open up with Fallen Away, which is like our bigger song. And then it goes right into Inclement. And it's just so fun to just throw down as hard as I can, get amped up as fuck, and just kind of go hard. So I'd say Inclement Weather right now.
That is a solid song, solid explanation too of like, yeah, I just get to go nuts and add in weird times signature accents. I like it. I can dig that.
Yeah. Definitely. I'm definitely feeling it. Like that's one of the stuff where I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Definitely get you amped up. All right. So now a big thing I wanted to chat with you, and that is the new single and music video for Black Widow has been released at the end of August. So how is it writing and recording Black Widow?
So it was a little nerve-wracking at first, because one of the main things of why this song was even in the construction is because we got an opportunity to record with Justin from Miss May I. That's the one who tracked and produced some of the track. So we got this opportunity and we, couldn't pass it up. So I go to Brian. Brian and I are the main instrumental songwriters. And I'm like, bro, we got to write something fast. We got to write something heavy. Got to take it into a more mature direction. Like Transcendence just came out and we're like, dude, we got to go. Like, we got to go hard. So we started writing all of these riffs. And like, I think after 8 songs, like fully written songs, we had Black Widow conceptualized. And Audrey didn't like it at first. She's like, there's too much going on. It's too riffy, whatever. So we decided to take that one riff and move it to the bass, and it kind of opened the song a little bit. So, but going into the studio, we had to go out to Ohio at Rephrase, and that's the studio. And we got to meet him, and he's such a sweetheart. So then all of a sudden the nerves are like dissipating, and you're like, oh, wait, like he's super cool. We're prepared. We have this material ready. And we just kind of threw it down, and just getting his little bit of feedback, his little bit of production work, just, hey, like move that over, maybe extend that part, go harder here. Just getting that feedback kind of like pushed us like mentally as musicians to like try something new. And we had a finished product. And this whole time she wrote the lyrics to the instrumental demos, and she just wanted to write this song about this female assassin taking down these creepy bar dudes that I'm sure the rumors sing a song similar, but we've also encountered that with having the female in the band. You get these creepy bar guys. They go up to the merch table. They're breathing weird in her ear. And she's like, dude, I'm angry about it. And this was kind of a way to cope with that, but also like tell a story visually and artistically.
Oh, definitely. I really love the new, I really love the new single Black Widow. I think it's very hard hitting, but also it's got the groove and riff to it with obviously the bass line and the guitar as well. Plus, I love the lyrics, and it's a song like you can already kind of picture before you even see the music video.
Yeah. So before we even thought of the video, when she wrote that line in the verses, I just pictured her up against a bar, like just kind of sitting there. And I was like, wait a minute, what if we like built off of that? Like, what if we just go like not artistic, you just go literal for this one? Because usually we try to be artsy, we try to like depict a different story or a vibe. And this time I'm like, no, I think we should just do it. Like, just go literal this time. Just movie style editing, just do it. And I think it worked out. It was a lot of fun to shoot, and people are liking it so far. They like the female assassin kind of badass thing, and she kills a creeper, man.
Well, I think it's definitely a story you can get behind. I know I've talked to quite a few bands. Obviously, the Rumors. I just had Dancing with Ghosts from Florida on my show, and they, she had a similar story as well. I don't know why people got to be creepy. It's like, just be cool, man. We're just here to listen to music. Shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah, I mean, and we get it too, even being men. People forget that as well. But I mean, it definitely, she's gone through a lot of stuff, especially the whole time we've been in bands. Like, people just, they want to like put the arm around her, and she's like, dude, like, what are we doing? He's like, well, I bought a t-shirt. And she's like, I don't give a fuck. You don't get to touch people. It's just, it's super weird. And it's like, sometimes we got to step up and like protect her. And it's just so weird. I'm like, guys, just walk away. Like, don't do this. We're trying to have fun. We're in another state. We don't know anybody. Like, just be cool, man.
It is very unnecessary. And I guess it's just anyone in entertainment. They have those people where they want to touch you or like, excessively talk to you, and the conversation's kind of over. It's just weird.
Oh yeah, no. Everybody could relate. Everybody's, I bet, just got a story, but you just gotta roll with it. Yeah, I'm trying to be professional as possible. When it happens, but you also gotta like lay down the ground and be like, hey, that's not cool. Like, take a step back. It's all right.
Definitely, exactly. And getting back with Black Widow, do you think this was a different recording, writing and recording experience compared to other songs?
Oh yeah, way different. We usually track ourselves. Obviously, we're in our messy studio, but we usually track ourselves, and then we send it out to someone that we trust, and they kind of handle all the post stuff and the mixing, and then we get stuff. This one, we actually had to like pack up our shit, go to another state. It was like a studio in the middle of nowhere in Ohio, and it's a beautiful studio, by the way. Like, huge bands have been through there, so it was like a lot of fun. But yeah, because we usually do stuff ourselves. So to have somebody literally across the room like, hey, don't do that, do something else, or go harder, change this. We're like, oh, like, yeah, we got to be open-minded. So it definitely was a little bit of like a creative shift of like, hey, we should listen to this guy. He's like legit, versus just us being in our studio where we're beating up ourselves.
It is different when you get another person in there, because like usually if you track it yourself, you're relying on yourself and your bandmates to go, okay, maybe we should change it up or try this. With somebody else, you have like a completely outside view to it. So
yeah, you know, and they could have a completely different idea, you know. So it's like, but like I said, definitely like there was a creative shift, and it pushed us to write more mature and think about the small, like minute details that ended up making the song, in my opinion.
Well, I think it's really well thought out. Like it's got, you know, the lyrics tell a really great story, but also like the music complements it so well. That's why like I really enjoy it. Just like listening to it, I was, you know, preparing for this interview. I was pretty much, you know, I was listening to your music, but I was like specifically listening to Black Widow because like, like it was just something. It's like I can really feel this. Like it's got that emotion in there too.
Well, I appreciate that, man.
Of course. Now I did want to talk about. I know we talked a little bit about the music video. But how was it filming it? Because it looked really cool. I mean, obviously you had the cool, like, you know, suits on and you were well dressed and stuff. How was the whole experience?
So it was very stressful, but it was a lot of fun. We got permission to use that bar, and they had a show at a certain time. So we had from noon to like, I think it was like 5:30 before the sound check to like get everything done. And we're like, oh dude, you know, that's plenty of time. And like 3 hours in, we're like, oh shit, we have 75% left to go. Like we had so much stuff. Like the makeup took way longer. The setup took way longer. Like getting all the prop stuff together took way longer. We were like kind of freaking out, but it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of OG Bloodline members there. That's some of the background characters. They're fans of ours. They've helped run merchandise. They help us with equipment sometimes. So it's a bunch of people we just trusted, and just kind of seeing that come to life, like her in the dress, doing the standing up, pointing the gun. We were just kind of like, oh my God, this looks incredible. So it was stressful, but it was a lot of fun, and it went by super fast, blink of an eye.
Well, it looks like obviously it really captured the whole like mood and vibe of the song very well. You guys look badass in it, and it looked really cool. And I'm glad it wasn't. Glad you got everything done on time.
Yeah, like my video guy was a little upset. He was like, "Dude, this should have been a 2-day thing," and I'm like, "Nah, dude, we got to do it today. It's got to be done today." But we got it done, and it was cool going back to when we first started. We wore the suits with the red ties. That's something we did for some reason. I don't know why or remember, but it was kind of cool going back to that, but then putting a twist on it.
It's like calling back to, you know, what you guys did in the past, but also putting a new spin on it.
Yeah, it's kind of got that like that, you know, Hitman, like John Wick kind of thing, like that organized, you know, Hitman thing. And like I just thought it was kind of cool to, especially with the female assassin. And like Brian plays a great bartender with the suspenders. I was like, dude, you look amazing. Like he had his hair done and everything. It was awesome.
He was definitely rocking those. I can agree with that.
Yeah, that's how he looked at my wedding, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he did that hair, and I was like, "Bro, you look hot as fuck." And he's like, "Oh, you like it?" I was like, "Yeah, dude, like you look good."
I think he knew. I think he knew he looked good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's why you spend the money. You know what I mean? Get that hair done.
Exactly. If you spend the money and you look worse, that's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'll drop a link for the music video for Black Widow in the description of this podcast. Please check it out. Now, you did mention the Bloodline, which is like you guys like fan base family. How did like the name the Bloodline like come about?
So I don't remember the exact details, but it was something about we started writing a song, and she kind of mentioned like in a metaphor that like there was something or a group of people like pumping the blood through our veins to keep us alive. And I was like, it's almost like a bloodline, you know, not like the heritage kind, but like the other kind, like a physical like entity. And we kind of stuck with that name. It was simple and fun. It was something different. Because a lot of these bands, they do like the it's so-and-so army or the so-and-so loyalty group or something kind of generic. I wanted it to be different and stick out. And the bloodline thing was different, unique. And at the time, this is when we had our older music, it kind of fit like that aesthetic, that like raw, just graphic blood and guts kind of feel.
It definitely is. It's a different name because obviously, as you said, there's a lot of generic stuff or just says the band name or fans of the band name. So it's cool to give some a little bit different, but also it is kind of true. Like without the fans and without your support, you guys wouldn't go get as far as you guys have gone. And I think it is they are pumping the blood, they are fueling you guys.
Yeah, and we didn't notice that until I think it was the second album. We noticed we started when we played specifically Chicago. We had like the same like 50 people, and then you would have the other people that kind of show up, whatever. Like the same 50 were like, dude, this group of 50 they're here all the time, and like they brought their friends or they were kind of like whoring us out, you know what I mean? And like eventually became a bigger group, and we're like, oh, we need a name for these people. Like we know everybody's name in it. We talk to these people personally, and they've helped push our music. They help, and like we started getting in the messenger, on Facebook, and we're like, hey, like if we put together a Facebook group, would you guys want to be a part of it? And everyone's like, hell yeah, dude, let's go. So I was like, okay. So we started out when we built the group, you would get like extra discounts. If I could, free tickets, we would do giveaways there. And then it's kind of grown into this larger entity. So now we have like the bloodline on Facebook. That's like the sharing, the helping out, kind of like being a part of the community. And then we have like our Patreon now, and the Patreon are like elite blood members. Those are the people that are literally like investing in the project and getting to work with us behind the scenes. They get to provide feedback and watch us build a new song, watch us record. So now we have like this bigger, like it's a bigger bloodline now. And it's really cool, man.
It definitely sounds like in the way it just grows, very, very naturally. It starts with, 50 people, but then, it grows, and obviously the internet, it grows even more. And then you have Patreon, which grows even more. It's just so cool to see like just the progress and the growth for you guys.
Yeah, and that's one of the cool things is like we had like a majority of the group was from Chicago when it first started. And once we started touring, we're not promoting the bloodline. We don't say, hey, look it up and join. People just started clicking on there. And they were like, oh my God, saw you guys in Kansas, saw you guys in California, saw you at, whatever. And we're like, oh my God, like we remember that dude, and like he wants to be a part of this. And we have a couple people from like England. I think there's one German guy on there. Like everybody's just like a part of it. Like they share our stuff. They're invested in it. It's like, it's kind of cool, man. Like it's definitely bigger than I ever would have thought. I never expected to have that kind of reach, and people care. And that kind of like makes you think about it. Like, you're like, oh, like this does matter. Like when I'm having a bad day, like this matters and it's okay. So it's definitely cool. And especially with the internet, man, like people just find it.
Yeah, it is really cool. It's what, with the internet and how just people find you guys, like, because they connect with that music so much that they're like, all right, they just start looking you guys up like, oh, join this, or, listen to some more music and stuff like that. It's just so cool to have that connection with people.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's definitely been a lot of help as well.
I can imagine. Now, as I wrapping up this interview, Draven, I really appreciate you hanging out with me. I do got one last question before we wrap up. This is probably the most challenging question I will ask, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Of course, there's always one.
What has been your favorite moment from your musical career so far?
Oh, man.
I did tell you it was going to be challenging. I did tell you.
Man, that's a hard one, though. Because, like, there's a lot of defining moments, but there's also moments that I never thought I would experience. And experiencing them was like, whoa, like, where would I be if I wasn't doing music, Yeah, that's a tough one. Like a single.
People have picked a few if you like. It's your interview. You can break the rules.
Yeah, man. I don't know. That's a tough one. That's a hard one. So I'm really trying to think like one specific, but I don't know, man.
Dude, you can list a few if you like.
Well, because I mean, like we talked about the House of Blues. That was probably a big one. One of the cool ones. just gonna like start naming shit at this point.
I mean, go for it.
We played Cheyenne, Wyoming. That was one of the coolest experiences, and it's like unexpected. Like we had a couple bad days on the tour, you know, like just like low draw, like people kind of moody kind of stuff. And we go to Cheyenne, Wyoming, and it's like a warehousey type venue. And, you know, we set up our stuff. There's a headliner. We're on before the headliner. There's an opening band, you know, whatever. And we went and got food, and we came back, and there's a line, like a full line, like outside, curved, right, of the venue. And we're like, oh, is that for, like, the brewery downstairs? Because they were doing brewery stuff. And the guy's like, nah, man, that's for the show. We're like, we're playing. Whoa, like, wait a minute. So after having this negative experience, we go into the room, and it's, like, fucking packed. Like, hundreds of people in Cheyenne, Wyoming are ready to, like, rock with us. And we were so, like, motivated to get this crowd going. Audrey at one point had every person just jumping to one of our songs. And, like, everybody was invested in it. We met a lot of people that knew our music. That was, like, kind of the first time where it clicked. Like, you're like, dude, we're a week into this tour, and we're finally hitting markets where people know who we are. You know, there's people with, like, their kids there. Like, they're like, oh, yeah, me and my daughters, we listen to your music. And we're like, really? Like, are you sure? You know, it's almost, like, unbelievable. You know what I mean? Like, you don't expect it to go that level, and then you experience it, and you're like, oh, my God, like, this is really happening. You know, so that was definitely a moment that stuck out on that tour. At the end of that one, that's the 2019 tour, coming home, that was probably another big one. Not only did we play really well, because we played 33 dates in a row without a break, but that room was fucking sold out. And that was another one where we're like, oh, yeah, like, we got this. And kind of, like, lit a fire. But, yeah, I mean, those are a couple. I'm trying to think of, like, other ones, man. There's been so many shows.
No, I got you, man. But I did not know that Cheyenne, Wyoming could throw down. I would, you know, that is really cool, especially going somewhere, you know, you guys are based in Chicago, but going to, you know, a completely different state far away, and like people know who you are. It's got to be a cool feeling.
Yeah, well, that's one reason that show stuck out, because not only did we, so we made I don't know if it was like, it wasn't stupid. It was stupid at the time. It's not stupid anymore. But our very first tour, we booked a 33-day tour with, you know, another like bigger band, and all the dates were out west. Like, we've never been out west. We've been to, like, you know, Missouri, we've been to Wisconsin, we played, you know, Iowa and like Indiana, we played Chicago a lot. And then it's like, bam, first big tour, cool. You're going all the way to Cali, and then you're going through the South, and you're coming back up. And we're like, why? But it worked out, man. I mean, we some of those shows were so fun, and just like, yeah, people knew us, and that's when we were like, where have you heard about us? And they're like, oh, it was a playlist on Spotify, or a YouTube video came up. It was recommended with this band or that band, or we heard you on the radio. And I was like, who's playing us on the radio? Like, it's one of those things where like you're almost like in shock, and then a couple days in, you're like, oh man, like this is what I want to do the rest of my life. Like, that's what I want to do right there.
And I think it's really cool, like what you just said. That's kind of why I ask that question. I know it is extremely hard and very challenging, but it's cool just the moments in your career that like stick out to you. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I played this huge show or something. It's like I met someone in Cheyenne, Wyoming who like listened to my music. I mentioned a bunch of people at that show that know my music. That's the cool takeaways that like you don't think of, like, you know, like right away, or other people who are listening to this like don't think about those aspects.
Yeah, no, and that's a good point with what you said, because I'm going to build off of it. I rather play a smaller show, like a 50 to 100 people that are so invested, than play to 1,000 or 10,000 and everyone's just standing there. Like, we've played shows in Wisconsin where there was like 20 people there, but every single person is moshing. Every single person is screaming the lyric back at Audrey. Like, that's the shit that sticks out more than the, oh yeah, I opened up for this band, there was 1,000 people there, and I was like, cool, but like, were they into it, you know? So yeah, definitely those home shows are nice.
I definitely can imagine that. And as I wrap up this interview, so what are the plans for Bolt to the Heart for the rest of this year, 2022, but also looking into next year, 2023?
So Black Widow just came out. We're probably going to do one more single. this year. Again, that is off of the couple songs that we did with Justin. There's a total of 5, so 2 this year. The plan is to book a big tour next year. I'm talking like something bigger, like with a big national, a lot of dates. We're currently investing in a RV to sleep in and live in on the road, and that will keep us out longer. Because that's one of the things that's a little restrictive right now is we had our original vehicle and our trailer breakdown, and we have not like recouped from that. So we've been sleeping out of like a Tahoe and another trailer.
Oof.
Yeah, it's really tight. I mean, it's luckily we're a piece of 4, so like everyone kind of has their own space, you know. But yeah, we want something better, and we have an inn somewhere where we're trying to get this RV. It's already been decked out and everything for us. We're trying to invest in that. Work on some more music, a little bit more promo, obviously with like the interviews and the press. And next year, coming out really strong with a big tour. We're really trying to do something major next year.
Well, I definitely look forward to seeing how next year goes for you guys. I wish you the best with getting the RV. I hope all of that happens. And if anyone wants to support Bullet to Heart, obviously you guys have your Patreon, and I'll leave some more links in the description to help them get there with the touring and the RV as well.
Yeah, the Patreon helps. Buying merch goes a long way. I mean, you know, rep that logo, and you know, it helps out a lot. So
definitely, for sure. But please check out the links in the description for everything Bullet to the Heart. I will leave all that in there as well. Draven, I had an amazing time chatting with you, dude. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was nice. This is another one for the books, man. I like it.
Hey, that's what I go for here on Super Cool Radio. But for Draven of Bullet to the Heart, I'm your host as always, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for watching or listening to Super Cool Radio. And remember, stay frosty.